What is the best water to drink for your health? Is it tap water, filtered water, or bottled water? And why is this such a big deal? This is exactly what we will be exploring on today's episode. And to help us understand this more, I brought in fellow Primal Health coach Alex Corey. Alex will be sharing his incredible knowledge with us, specifically regarding the best type of water to drink and why it's such a big deal. And be sure and listen all the way to the end because at the end, Alex reveals exactly how to get and drink the best water for optimal health. Welcome, everybody. Another edition of the Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream podcast. And today on the podcast, we've got Alex with us. Alex, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Brad. And I absolutely love the podcast name and title.
Oh, thank you.
I
Yeah,
love the
we'll,
ice
we'll
cream.
get into the whole ice cream part another time. But it's funny that you mentioned that about the ice cream because we were talking off camera about this idea of metabolic health and
Mhm.
water and food and nutrition and all that, and certainly ice cream can play a role in that. But yeah, we were talking, Alex. You've got a background in food nutrition and metabolic health, and you specifically mentioned something about water, and that a lot of people are not talking about water today, even though we've heard about hydration and all that. So let's start there today. What is this idea about water and what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I was just amazed because I've been in the health field, alternative health, just paying attention to health since probably a decade at this point, since I was 23 and learned how to farm because I realized I didn't have any real connection with my food. And that was kind of the entry point into health. And as I started going down the list of food production and then later into more nutrition based and more movement based, the primal health or just the health coach aspect of it, the thing that I still hadn't touched on at all. I mean, you can get into the nitty gritty of nutrition and of anything. That's why my brain works. I like all the details and almost overcomplicate everything a little much, but no one was talking about water. And it's kind of the
The
fundamental of everything.
hidden secret there or something? Now, like when you talk about water, do you mean hydration or what do you mean
In
exactly?
agriculture, like no one really, everyone takes it for granted. So, hydration specifically, because health coaching is kind of my current, I like making impact for people on a daily basis and kind of just focusing on the low hanging fruit. Like, how can I have more energy? How can I sleep better? How can I have better workouts? How can I improve my health in general? And hydration is never, it's kind of just like oh yeah, make sure you're hydrated was the extent I had heard of it. In any literature, it was kind of just like make
That's
sure you're getting electrolytes and water. And that was
that's
it.
that's me too. That's the basis of what I've heard of it. So yeah,
Right.
what else take us down that path and what else can we know or should we know?
Yeah. We spend a lot of time, or I spend a lot of time, or anyone in a health focused pursuit tends to look at nutrition a little more in depth. Like, okay, let me, instead of doing processed food, let me make sure I have high quality or higher quality protein. Let me make sure I have some good fats, make sure I'm eating vegetables and fruit and whole foods, right? So you go down the nutrition rabbit hole of that. But I never heard anyone talk about water like that. It's kind of just like H2O done, which is the furthest thing as I've figured out from the truth because most people are on tap water. And tap water is like processed food. It is safe, meaning you're not going to get sick from it immediately, probably, but it's like heavily processed food where it's a slow poison. I consider it just a slow introduction of contaminants and poison. There is no such thing as clean tap water, unfortunately. Clean in that there's no like harmful microbes, right? You won't, um, it's not like going to a weird place in Mexico and you have to worry about the tap water. That's not what I mean. I mean, I can pull anyone's tap water report with a EWG, Environmental Working Group, and there's just a list of contaminants, and they're all carcinogenic, and some are more concerning than others, but they're all there. It's kind of like it's the exact same thing as the reason I started farming to control my own food was there's just things you don't want in there. And that's just the basic one, like filtration, clean mineral water, right? We need minerals to process water as well. So a lot of people will get into water and they'll get a reverse osmosis unit, which is a type of filtration.
Familiar with those, yeah.
Yep. And those will get they were designed to treat,
Those are
to
expensive, by the
desalinate water.
way.
What did you
Yeah.
say?
Those are expensive too.
They're the cheaper end of filtration. You can get really expensive ones for sure. They weren't invented for water for optimal hydration. They're invented to clean water from wastewater treatment plants or agriculture. And they're good at that. They keep the pathogens out, but they don't get as much as they should of the new tiny like ionic compounds from agricultural runoff. Like we heard about atrazine or things like that in the water system, which is a pesticide. None of the things in the water from industry are good. Just because our body doesn't know how to deal with them. It's kind of the same thing we talk about hydrogenated foods in nutrition, right? It's a new thing. There's no biochemical purpose for it. Our body doesn't know what to do with it. It just gets packaged in there and stored. Water's kind of like the same thing where I've focused a lot on this because people see such dramatic changes from.
The one thing that we all have in common is that we all want to live the best possible life. We all yearn to find our purpose in life, to live that life of passion and fulfillment, and rediscover who we really are. The truth is, most of us don't know how to do this, and we don't know how to get out of our own way. Our mindsets, fears, insecurities, and self-doubts prevents us from reaching our full potential. If you are someone who yearns to break through and rediscover your authentic self, find your purpose, and live that life of fulfillment, then join my new online community, Rediscover You. Rediscover You is helping people just like you explore their passions, find their purpose, rediscover their authentic self, and live their best life. Inside Rediscover You, you will learn the tools, skills, and strategies that I have implemented in my own life, as well as with many of the clients I have worked with, to help them rediscover their authentic self, find their purpose, and live their best life. From understanding your purpose to knowing who you are or what you want your life to be about, you will get it all inside Rediscover You. Join me inside the Rediscover You community. I'm really looking forward to seeing you inside there.
Switching their water. Filtration is a good start because you're not contaminated, right? If we're thinking about inflammation, that's a key term, right? In the health field today is inflammation. How do you become less inflamed? Heavy metals are a pretty good source of inflammation. Synthetic hormones, pesticides, herbicides, all these large industrial things, pharmaceuticals just in the water. So if you can get rid of those for a start, that helps a lot. And then you're actually thinking about just clean mineral water.
That helps decrease the inflammation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all of those are bad.
Yeah, science has shown for a while now that inflammation is the key to a lot of illnesses, diseases that people deal with these days, diabetes or fibromyalgia or something like that. All right, I'm dying to know, Alex. So tap water is not good. Message received. It's poisonous, basically. Well, the opposite to me would be the bottled water, but to me that's got nothing in it either. So is that any better? So what should we be drinking?
Yeah, well, the should is the tricky part, but bottled
Yeah,
water is usually someone else's tap water.
yeah,
Bottled water
yeah.
has really small amount of regulation around it. So the FDA regulates bottled water, and it's kind of acceptable. Again, it won't make you sick, but there's not a lot of stringent requirements on what bottled water means. So there are definitely some that are better, and the better ones are usually spring water. Um, Especially in glass. This is another huge issue is microplastics. So water is a solvent, obviously. So if you keep something it'll start to degrade most of the plastic that it's stored in, especially in warehouses under light in heat. Like the worst thing I could think of is probably like a 24 pack of crunchy, single use, like squishable plastic bottle water. So that's got a ton of little tiny microfiber or microplastic beads in it, and you accumulate those pretty quickly. So like there's a credit card worth of those in the human body in any given month if you're downing a good amount of bottled water. So glass is king, obviously, or stainless steel if you can do your own. But
Stainless steel, okay.
yeah, which is tricky because most of it that people are just grabbing is plastic. So if you can switch to anything that's not plastic, you're ahead of the game. You're already eliminating a huge source of estrogen mimickers. So plastic is a is a type of biomimicry for estrogen. So it's not the best. It'll screw up your hormone balances as well as just getting stored in your tissue. And it's just a toxin, right? It's petrochemical. So you don't necessarily want that in your body. So first step above tap water is just clean-ish bottled water, preferably in glass.
Okay. Do
If
they
you
even
can
make
go
bottled water in glass? I don't even know. Can you get it in glass?
Mountain Valley Spring, a lot of the spring waters are in glass.
Okay.
Gerolsteiner, there's from Germany. There's definitely a higher price point associated with it, but that's because it's like organic food. It required more. Unfortunately, the things that aren't as damaging
They're more
to
expensive.
us cost a little more money.
Okay.
That's just because plastic's dirt cheap. I mean, that's why people do it. But a can or a glass bottle, you'll find them if you go to most, even convenience stores will have something in glass, like Perrier is in glass, the old school ones. But any spring water will be in glass. And what I tell people, usually I end up, if you do the math, right? If you're going to start buying like a $2 glass bottle of water, that adds up real fast, which is why people don't do it. So if you're going to increase your hydration and reduce your contaminants, just get a filter. And that's what we harp on. So part of my one of my businesses is the Appalachian Water Collective, which I co-founded with my farming partner and my other water business partner, Ashley DeMarco. And we harp on filtration a ton because it's the cheapest and most sustainable way to do it, which is usually people have good source water that just is contaminated. So you can filter out almost all of the stuff you don't want in it.
So I need to go to, I don't know, Home Depot or something and get a water filter then basically for my home water system. Is that
Here's what to look for. So you might find something, go to Home Depot actually, but usually they're specific because what you want to look for is NSF certification. This is the
oh, I know.
National Standards Foundation certification. They have three big ones that affect health, three standards. The first one is 42, which is just like your fridge filter will usually be 42. This is like your odor, your taste affecting things, chlorine, rust, big particles and things that affect smell and odor. Most filters will get rid of that. Like a cheap Brita filter will get rid of that.
Okay.
Uh, the next one is 53, which is health effects. And this is where it starts getting interesting, where you see all the heavy metals, your volatile organic compounds, the things most people will start to care about. So those are the ones that are likely to get stored in your body that you can't really taste off the bat. Those are the tiny little lead, asbestos, things like that. Things we know we shouldn't be consuming, but are a little harder to filter out. And the next step, the gold that makes filters, these are the ones that are a little more expensive, is NSF standard 401. And this is all the ones that make headlines. These are all the new and emerging contaminants like atrazine, which is a pesticide, forever chemicals, PFAs. Those are the
Yeah.
polyvinyl alkalides. Yeah. So all of those tiny little pharmaceuticals, like people are now realizing there's drugs straight up like naproxen and anti-inflammatories and NSAIDs and
Coating in our tap water.
in the tap water. So 401 covers all of those. So what I tell people to look for, if you just want to stop thinking about it, and most people weren't thinking about it until I introduce it, but if you're already on a health pursuit and you know want to not have all those contaminants in your tap water, you can just get filters that meet those NSF requirements and make sure they're certified NSF. People play all these, or companies are aware of these and will play very interesting marketing games like complies with or independently lab tested under this. NSF as a certifying agency, so just make sure it's certified. That's
Gotcha.
kind of like going for an organic product and it'll say like organically grown, which doesn't mean anything because it's not certified.
So for our listeners, make sure I got this right. So the
Yeah,
lowest level of water that we can drink, the worst is tap water.
straight tap. Yeah,
The next level up of that would be bottled water, but ideally not from plastic because of the
correct.
microbeads, as you mentioned, but from glass or if we get it in stainless steel or something like that.
Yeah.
But then the highest level, the next tier up then would be what you're saying is an NSF certified filter so that we're drinking filtered water.
Yes. And then there's a couple caveats to that, which is NSF doesn't care about minerals. It just cares about contaminant reduction. So
Right. Okay. So
minerals are key to hydration.
yes.
So
Okay.
there are a number of filters. There's 23,000 water filter companies in the US alone. It's ridiculous. Like this is why people get so lost and why it's overwhelming, because it's overwhelming.
You studied
So
this
if you
23,000. Wow.
yeah, if you just go to the NSF website, nsf.org, and I do this for people all day for part of my water collective or the Water Quality Association, but they're a little less strict. So I like the NSF. You can just type in the filter company name and see if they're listed there. If they're a big enough company and they test, they're probably going to be listed there, and they will or will not have the same contaminant reduction as they claim on their website, which has been interesting to find. Some people will make a lot of claims that they actually aren't certified for. But anyway, the one I like is a company called MultiPure, simply because they're they invented solid carbon block tech. No one's ever heard of them because they don't market well, but they keep minerals. That's the key for me. So it's almost reverse osmosis level filtration. It filters 85 plus classes of contaminants out, all the things we just talked about, all those NSF certs,
Mhm.
and it keeps minerals, which I need for ionization. And that's the highest step.
Can you artificially add those minerals? Is there
You
something
can.
other?
Yep.
How would you do that?
I do it via electrolyte sticks, just because they
Okay.
usually have I use Myoscience because I'm just a performance nerd. That's one of the more expensive ones. LMNT, Elemental, makes some. You can add any electrolyte powder you really want. The key for electrolytes is just to make sure that they're in useful forms, meaning some of the cheaper ones are just like random synthetic electrolytes, like potassium bicarbonate, just smashed together. Your
Okay.
body has to be able to get to them. So
Right.
there's a couple I like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Later, I'm going to have you send me some of this because I definitely like
Oh,
to.
sure. It's a rabbit hole. Yeah, because it's a lot.
So one more time for folks listening,
Yeah.
the lowest level to the highest level, lowest level tap water, then bottled water, but not plastic, glass or stainless steel.
Aluminum or stainless steel. Yeah.
Aluminum, okay. And then up
Yeah.
from there would be the filtered water, but then the highest level would be the filtered water that maintains the minerals, but you can also artificially add the minerals as you were just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, now this
I
is,
got another one that's above that too.
oh, okay. What's that one? Then I'll get to,
That's my baseline. Filtered mineral water is my baseline for health, so to speak. So that's giving your body needs minerals, processed water. So that's giving you everything you need for your baseline hydration.
okay.
Basically just clean mineral water. I consider clean, contaminant-free mineral water as the baseline. Like if you're going from tap water just to clean mineral water, you'll notice a dramatic change in your energy because your body's not fighting all of those contaminants from the inflammation all the time. If
This
you
is
want to go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is just fascinating for me.
Oh
I
yeah.
listen to you and like,
Yeah.
maybe part of what's going on with me is the water. I drink a lot of tap water every day, obviously to stay hydrated, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So what's above clean
Yeah.
filtered mineral water then?
Above this is what happens in very few places in the world, and this has a lot of marketing around it, so I'll try to demystify it pretty quickly. Ionized water. You probably
Oh,
have heard of it,
yeah, I've heard
but
of it.
it has many names. Most people have heard of ionized water, which is just charged water. You can make ionized water just from minerals. Ionized meaning it has a electrical charge to it. That's what an ion is, right? That is, your body actually needs it to have a charge. So the aquaporins, which are the channels in your cells that actually accept water one molecule at a time, and it needs to have a negative charge, negative millivolt charge. The aquaporin is positively charged. So in order for it to actually move through, your body will do whatever it has to negatively charge it, or ideally you just give it the negative charge. So ionized water, also known as electrolyzed reduced water. This is pretty.
The one thing that we all have in common is that we all want to live the best possible life.
We all yearn to find our purpose in life, to live that life of passion and fulfillment, and rediscover who we really are. The truth is, most of us don't know how to do this, and we don't know how to get out of our own way. Our mindsets, fears, insecurities, and self-doubts prevents us from reaching our full potential. If you are someone who yearns to break through and rediscover your authentic self, find your purpose, and live that life of fulfillment, then join my new online community, Rediscover You. Rediscover You is helping people just like you explore their passions, find their purpose, rediscover their authentic self, and live their best life. Inside Rediscover You, you will learn the tools, skills, and strategies that I have implemented in my own life, as well as with many of the clients I have worked with, to help them rediscover their authentic self, find their purpose, and live their best life. From understanding your purpose to knowing who you are or what you want your life to be about, you will get it all inside Rediscover You. Join me inside the Rediscover You community. I'm really looking forward to seeing you inside there.
In a couple places, you'll have a little bit of this in nature. So if you find an uncontaminated spring, there are minerals that are reacting, right? So that'll give you a little bit of ionization. What I think is the top tier of sort of health promoting water is electrolyzed reduced water, which just means electrolyzed, meaning produced via electrolysis, which is happens in nature in a couple places, either a lightning strikes water or at the base of a waterfall or in a volcanic vent when it comes up. That's sort of source water. It's electrified, so to speak. So that's the best water. And we make this with electrolyzers, as in there are plenty of machines that'll do this for you. It just electrifies water across medical grade titanium and platinum usually. And in doing that, most of them market the pH. They'll be like high alkaline water. The pH isn't really where the game changes. The game changes, and it's the top tier because of a compound called molecular hydrogen, which is two hydrogen atoms loosely bound together, and it's created from this process. And molecular hydrogen happens to be the most powerful antioxidant we know of, and the smallest molecule that we know of. It's a gas, and it's dissolved in the water. And the literature on molecular hydrogen or on electrolyzed reduced water, which just means water with the presence of molecular hydrogen, is ridiculous. Like, there are so many studies, and it touches everything that you could ever want it to in your body regarding inflammation.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. All I can say is I'm literally speechless right now. I've been doing health and wellness for
I know.
15 years. You're right. Nobody talks about this
No
stuff.
one talks about it. Yeah.
Drink water, stay hydrated. Where can the average person get electrolyzed water? Or do they have to make it?
It's hard to find because molecular hydrogen, it's another synonym is called living water. Living because it's charged. That charge isn't stable. You can't bottle it easily. So you kind of have to make it or find a fill up station near you. Some springs will have this, right? The technology is mimicked after certain springs. Like, these were holy sites around the world, and people would go there in droves. Like, Mecca's got one. There's Lourdes, France has one. There's a couple in Mexico. Yellowstone's one. People would go there and have like really interesting healing experiences. And scientists were finally very curious and like, okay, what's in the water? And they found ridiculously high concentrations of molecular hydrogen, among other things, but that's the primary compound that's been studied. So we can just make that. And there are a bunch of ionizers on the market. Obviously, you're going to get what you pay for, but that's the top tier in my purview. Because then you can control the pH as well. So I have a background in agriculture, so I use that technology for all of that as well. But just for the health aspect, I started harping on this solely because I was seeing more dramatic effects from people changing just their water than entire diet protocols. It was really frustrating initially, and then I just accepted it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you real quick, what water do you drink right now as a health coach?
I do electrolyzed reduced water. So the brand I use is Kangen, just because people are gonna have all sorts of different perceptions. If you go on Google and do a Google search for Kangen water, you're gonna get a whole bunch of random garbage stuff because it's an old company. Kangen is just a brand name for it means return to origin. It's just a specific form of electrolyzed reduced water. The thing that I could tell people is if you're thinking about doing electrolyzed reduced water, ionized water, hydrogen water, you can either just get hydrogen tablets and dissolve them in water, which is probably the easiest. But
Where do you get hydrogen tablets?
any
Kmart?
alternative health site will sell them, like Mercola sells them, a co-op might sell them. You have to remember to do it. That's the issue I ran into where like I hit this, I stopped taking things because I'll forget. It falls out of a habit. The reason I like just having people drink water with it already in it is because there's no habit change. Like I work with nutrition protocols with people all the time, and it is I have to help someone rewire their brain because food patterns have such ingrained neurochemistry, childhood stuff, emotional, comforting. There's all these different layers to food. No one has ever like pushed back on me for changing water. It's very interesting. So if I can get someone to have the same level of anti-inflammatory and antioxidants in their water, and they drink a lot of water and it tastes different and it feels different. Like it's charged, right? So you notice a little bit of a boost. You notice some clarity, like the science around molecular hydrogen and neuroplasticity and brain chemistry and brain health is super fascinating. So people notice something whenever they start drinking it. So as they start drinking more water because of that. So that helps. And it also does other things. Like there's a restructuring process as well.
Okay, so let me ask some just
Yeah.
generic questions, and gosh, we could go on forever, but I'm
I
starting to.
know.
This has been fascinating. I don't even think we'll get to food nutrition today, so we'll have you back in the
Sure.
future to
Love
cover
to.
that topic. But so how important is water quality to our overall health, and how does the quality of the water we drink? You mentioned metabolic health. How does it affect our metabolic health? You mentioned hormones and all that. Like I'm thinking women and hormone
Yeah.
imbalance. So how does the quality of water really impact our health and our hormones and all that stuff?
It's the foundation for me now, along with like protein and fatty acids, because it's such a structural key player. Like most people, depending on how hydrated you are, 2/3 water by weight. You are
Yeah.
99% water by molecule count. Most of you is H2O or structured water, which is the fourth phase. Gerald Pollack discovered this is H3O2. It's a gel-like substance, but anyway, 99% by molecule count. So if you can make sure that uh, to replace that much water without having extra contaminants in it is kind of the first step. And like you said, it's not that water itself is dramatically affecting the hormones, although dehydration touches about everything in your body, right? If you think of a hangover, a lot of that's dehydration. So it affects every organ system in your body, especially your brain. Like most people will notice the brain health drop first. They won't notice a little bit of like gut inflammation or dehydration. Maybe they, like if you're doing resistance training, I think you lift 17% less minimum dehydrated. Like if you have 10% less water than normal, you automatically like reduce your load by about 20%. It's kind of water runs everything in your body, and your body's really good at keeping it. But
Bottom line, real quick, let me just jump in. The quality of water we drink is super duper
super,
important.
yes, yeah, it
Uh,
affects everything in your body.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like I say sometimes with regards to food, food can be medicine or it can be poison,
yep,
depending. So it sounds like it's the same with water. The quality of
yeah,
the water can poison you or it can nourish you. Regular tap water can poison you, and the hydrogenated water you mentioned or the ionized water
yeah,
can nourish you. Wow,
right.
wow, wow. I'm fascinated. I'm blown away. I'm so glad we did this topic today. This is going to change lives right here. We got to get this message out. So, Alex, that's been a ton of stuff. Anything else
Yeah.
you want to say to kind of wrap this up here?
The other two elements that I mentioned probably are protein and fatty. I think protein is now being talked about. I'm seeing it at least on social media and just making the news for protein quality and protein content for making dramatic effects on people's metabolic health just because of the satiation factor and because it's used for literally every reaction in your body needs protein. So and fatty acids, just because so much of your hormonal health, like you mentioned, is based off of fatty acids. So a lot of people find huge improvement just by getting a little more healthy fats, a little good, a mixture. And I'm on the saturated fat train. Like I have
Yeah.
zero. I eat a lot of saturated fat.
And for
Coconut.
those that don't know, I've seen some of Alex's videos on Facebook. He's ripped. I'll just tell you.
I'm very lean. Yeah.
He's ripped. Yeah, he's like Bruce Lee ripped. So I'm blown away. This has been fascinating, Alex. We're going to get you back on, yeah, because we got to get more
Love
into the
to.
protein, fatty acids, and food nutrition. This is your a wealth of knowledge, and it's so awesome for me to speak with experts like you because I just gained a ton of knowledge. I never gave water a thought other than just the tap water. Stay hydrated. That was it.
Yeah.
Drink or whatever 8 glasses a day, and
Yeah.
didn't give. I've always given thought to the food, but never to the water. So
Right.
so anyone listening, yeah, the quality of the water you drink matters for your overall health, your metabolic health, and as you said, Alex, for inflammation. Inflammation is
Yeah.
the root of all disease, as we're learning. So, Alex, thank you so much. How can folks get a hold of you if they want to know more about water or just anything else in general?
Yeah, people can follow me at I have a couple places, but you can do bio.link/Alexander Corey, Corey. My Instagram is cultivated.change. That's my primary platform. The water you can follow at Appalachian Water Collective.com. If you go to the bio link, bio.link/Alexander Corey, it has links to all these other ones because I have too many projects. So that's where people can find everything I'm doing.
Okay, I'll have you email or
Okay.
message that information. And
Yeah.
for anyone listening, a lot of this is going to be in the show notes, so
Yes.
don't worry. But you may want to hit that stop, rewind button, and listen to this a couple of times because this is some big stuff. So
A lot of information. Yeah. I apologize if I overloaded.
no, no, that was some good stuff. You've just enlightened me and changed I never even thought about water quality from inflammation standpoint, metabolic health standpoint, but I'm gonna go change my water right now and research and get an NSF filter for my water system.
Awesome.
Alex, thank you very much for being here. Everyone listening, thank you so much for being here. Please ask us at the end of every episode, but especially this one. It's so important to share this episode as far and wide as possible. This information needs to get out there. The quality of water that we drink matters. So please share this episode. Hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a 5-star review. I would super appreciate it. Alex, real quick, what's your podcast?
I have two. The water one is called Abundance on Tap, and my personal health one for metabolic health is Cultivating Change with Alex Corey.
Okay, and you can find those on Apple Podcasts, I assume?
Everything. Yeah, they're on everything. The bio link I said will have both of them.
Okay, I'll put those in show notes too. So, anyway, thank you so much for being here, everyone. As I always say, be well, be safe, be happy, and yeah, eat ice cream and wash it all down with some hydrogenated water. So, thank you
Thanks,
so
man.
much, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time.